Cancer. Welcome to your November 2020 Astro Forecast Update. It's Rena here. So every November, the Sun spends several weeks in Scorpio, and Scorpio is a fellow water sign and forms a lovely angle called a trine to you. It's flowing from the Sun or the rising sign, depending on what you're listening to. I should say that at the beginning. This is for the Sun in Cancer and for Cancer rising. And this is your fifth house. I should also note that when I make these pronouncements, it may vary a little bit from Cancer to Cancer because of individual differences in the chart. But it's easier for me. I've been trying to kind of make it more tailored to people, but it really is better for me to just do it like this. The fifth house is the house of love. And I often stress that it's the house of falling in love. So those new relationships. But the seventh house is committed partnership. The fifth house is dating. So it may not be that you feel that you're ready to commit at this stage. So it can be the earlier stages, but it can be love itself. What are your attitudes towards love? And these change in our lifetime. For some people, they start out very optimistic and they have a bad experience and they become, as its song, was it Whitesnake? Once bitten, twice shy. I'm referencing hair metal. Oof. But anyway, these kinds of experiences can make it in an area that's a little bit fraught with difficulty, even though you want it. And yet it's emphasized here because the Sun is here, and the Sun rules the fifth house. This is Leo's house in the universal chart. And Leo is known for being very romantic. And if you know anything about the tarot and you think about the Sun card, it's connected to love too. And creativity. And this is also the house of creativity. So this can be, this is a house of pleasure. So you may just have a burning desire, pardon the pun, the sunburn, and you may just want to enjoy yourself, express yourself creatively for whatever reason and whatever way is the way that you typically do it. And this is where Mercury retrograded back in October. I state, even though as I record this, I think today is the day that Mercury turns retrograde, so I have to double check that. But I'm recording this on the 13th of October, and so it's right around that time. And so you may, if you've had some person that you've been seeing, maybe you have had some kind of misunderstanding. And misunderstandings are not uncommon when you first meet somebody. I think it's all part of the process to kind of, you're a little bit protective, each one of you, and somebody says what is considered the wrong thing, and the other person starts to take offense to it. And it's really about letting down your guard, I think. But this can also be about rethinking a creative project. Maybe if you've had some kind of, maybe you're like researching. Mercury retrograde is a great time for researching. And the fifth house can be any kind of creative pursuit. And so even if it's something like a hobby that has a creative bent to it, the fifth house are hobbies in general. And you may just be like learning more about something that you want to incorporate as a hobby. But Mercury goes back into your fourth house. And on the 3rd of the month, it goes direct at 25 degrees of Libra. So this has been there for a little bit of time, probably the last week in October, when Mercury has been in the fourth house. And so there's something that you are, the fifth house can be a business that you own, and the fourth house is the home. So if you have been working from home or researching having your own home business, and then coming to some decision based upon your actual living space, whether it's viable to conduct out of the home. It could be something along those lines. If you're having some kind of an affair, when I say affair, I'm not saying that you're cheating on your spouse, although maybe that is happening, not to accuse you of anything, but you may think about your family and think twice about it. Or if you're a single parent and, you're thinking about whether or not to introduce a lover to your children at this juncture. Those kinds of issues can come into your mind. And Mercury is about the mind and your thoughts. But you come to some kind of a decision around, after the 10th. And then just a few days later, Mars stations direct at 15 degrees of Aries. Now here we have two cardinal signs. They're opposite one another. Libra, your fourth house, Aries, your 10th house, Cancer. So Mars has been retrograding in your 10th house for a couple of months now. And this may have been very frustrating for you because perhaps there's some buried anger, maybe something that was not expressed, maybe some feeling of frustration about your career ambitions, and perhaps the Mercury retrograde is connected to all of this, and this is why you've been thinking about having your own business, because a cardinal sign like Cancer, and even though Cancer is the ruler of the house of home and family, the fourth house, I'm sure many of you are also career people, and yet you may feel that the career environment is rough and tumble, that it's insensitive, that it doesn't honor the individual in a respectful manner, a nurturing way, the way that you nurture people in a very motherly, even as Cancerian men. You kind of mother your friends, your family, your children, and take care of people. And if you don't feel taken care of, that may rub you the wrong way. And so this can be a situation where you really want to get ahead, but you don't want to be somebody else's, you don't want to be like a chump. You don't want to feel that you don't have control, power over your situation. Cardinal signs like to call the shots. So if you are taking orders from somebody else, this is not necessarily that pleasant for you. And this has nothing to do with ego. This has to do with the modalities. And the cardinal modality is very much in the leadership mode of like taking charge of situations, initiating the doers. Some people are talkers. I'm a talker. I'm a Sag, so I'm mutable signs are kind of like the idea people. But you need the people who will run with the ideas, who will get things done, who will take those actions, those necessary actions. And you're one of those people. But sometimes, you may get marching orders. And if they, conflict with your personal values or your sensibilities, you may kind of rebel in your own way. And how you've been rebelling with Mars retrograde may have been very passive aggressive, may have been with sarcasm or sulking. And that's, I think cancers have perfected the art of sulking and things like that. Emotional manipulation. But now I was going to say now the gloves are off, but not necessarily. You just may assert yourself, or things may just move forward if they are like career ambitions, or something coming in for you in this area. On the 15th, we have a new moon, another water sign, 23 degrees. I said another water sign, actually the same water sign, because we have Pisces as well that I'll get to. But 23 degrees of Scorpio, again in that fifth house. So perhaps there is some new beginning that relates to, starting your own business. I just want to let you know that when I said the words new business, it was 11:11 on my timer here. So for what that's worth. And the other thing that I wanted to say about this is I have done a series of tarot readings called Green Light Portal, actually about an astrological situation going on between mid-November, which is when this new moon hits, right after Mars stations direct on the 13th, until the end of January of 2021, when all the personal planets are direct. And then at the end of January, we have another Mercury retrograde. So that the personal planets are supposed to affect us most directly. We do look to the transits of the outer planets to see what houses they are in, but in particular, the personal planets can be very important in these forecasts. And so for it to be in your fifth house, the new moon, I mean, it might be a good time if you were kicking around the idea of starting a business to do so. I say that, with the caveat that if you don't feel it, or you actually feel it, during a Mercury retrograde, that you do what you feel is your heart's desire. This is just talking about times when it may be most cooperative energy from the universe. And this could be a new a new dating situation. Venus goes into Scorpio on the 21st, so it joins the sun here. Actually, it joins. I didn't explain something to you. I don't think. I think I skipped over the fact that Mercury goes back into this fifth house on the 10th of the month. So it goes into the fourth house, and then it goes direct on the 3rd, and then a week later it goes back into Scorpio, so that's your fifth house. And Venus joins Mercury on the 21st. But on that very same day, the sun goes into Sagittarius. And so that's your 6th house, and that's more business-like, organization, work-related, looking at your health, your daily schedule, those kinds of things. So you get into that business mode. But on that same day, Venus goes into that 5th house. This planet of pleasure goes into the house of pleasure. So that can be also romantic, as well as having to do with money. So any kind of like profits from a creative endeavor, or if you have started a business, that can kind of indicate to you that you're on the right path. On the 28th, we have Neptune direct at 22 degrees of Pisces, and this is your ninth house. This is the God house. So having Neptune in the ninth house, as you have had, again, individual charts, mileage may vary, but the ninth house is the God house. Neptune is a spiritual influence. So maybe I think Neptune turned retrograde in June. Maybe there's been a wake-up call or some kind of disillusionment about any kind of spiritual matters. And you felt like maybe I didn't have that beatific experience. I have a natal Neptune podcast on my channel. If you have this in your natal chart in the ninth house, you can check that out because it will have similar interpretation as the transit. So the transit would just make it a fleeting influence, but in the natal chart, obviously, it's something that you deal with your whole life. And one of the things when I was doing this this house with Neptune for the natal placement was people who they have visions with archangels or deities, other kind of deities, and I did have people who confirmed that. And I have actually gone to a workshop where the person conducting the workshop was talking about working with different deities and having these deities kind of show up for them. And it just blows my mind. I mean, this has happened to me more than once. I can't even fathom it, but it's something that some people feel very connected to, just like working with angels. And I suppose it would be a similar thing. And Neptune is going to be from the spiritual realms, the 12th house. In the ninth house, which to me is more of the organized religion, the kind of the dogma, the do's and don'ts of organized religion. And they're different because it's a house of philosophy. So different religions have differences in their philosophies. I mean, there are some, unifying elements, of course, but just those kinds of things can come. But, now that Neptune is direct, you may once again be more idealistic about this transit and its effect on you. So if you've been questioning some of your spiritual experiences, and maybe this, one of the best ways to have, to be injected with doubt is sometimes to convey these to people around you who are not receptive to it, because they, can tell you, oh, you were hallucinating, it's wishful thinking or something like that. And you might question it or question your sanity. So you have to, use discernment when you tell people about these things, because sometimes they can be very discouraging. On the other hand, sometimes by telling other people your experiences, you can actually influence them in a positive way. So it's not a hard and fast rule. On the 30th, there's a lunar eclipse at 8 degrees of Gemini. Now here again, this is, the transiting nodes are connected to the eclipses, and we have the North Node transiting in your 12th house. And here is this lunar eclipse in your 12th house, Cancer. So this is a very spiritual influence. This is the area that Neptune rules. A lunar eclipse. I mean, this could be like, to me, I would see it as grace in terms of cutting karmic baggage out of your life, because it's letting go of these things that really hold you back. But they might be things that you're not even aware that you're being held back with, because they're deeply embedded. I mean, it's something very, this is a hidden house, and it can deal with repressed memories, unconscious memories, subconscious memories, things coming to the surface to be released. The house of self-undoing, bad habits, just being released. And I know that this does happen, where people have terrible addictions. They wake up one day and they just don't want to do it anymore. And it doesn't always work that way, but it can. And in those instances, we can say, well, it obviously wasn't the person by themselves, that they just made up their mind, because they had already made up their mind 1,000 times before, and they didn't have the courage to do it. And there must have been something else helping them along. So, whatever this means to you, or this is the dream state, and having these prophetic dreams, a spiritual download that helps you to be aware of karmic influences, and therefore to transcend them in some way. It's like letting go of the past, but the past lives that have, the influences from the past lives that have kind of still remained embedded in your psyche, to be, self-limiting beliefs, emotions, behaviors that you can just kind of let go of. Okay, that's what I have for you, Cancer. I hope that you enjoyed this and resonated with it. If you would like a private reading, I have all kinds of readings. Most of them are astrology based. My website is renamoonastrology.com. The link is below. Take care. Bye.